Kentucky's always tough. What are you thinking about?
Thinking about our team getting better in the process and not worried about Kentucky. They're a good team. They're well coached, but we're focused on us right now, not focused on record, not focused on wins and losses, just focused on getting better every day, every practice, every game.
You talked about the process. To you, what is this process? How are you kind of building on what you've already done?
Just getting better on a game-to-game deal, practice to practice, individuals getting better, units that play together getting better, and collectively getting better. That's how I judge it, and that's what I'm focused on, and that's what these guys are focused on.
What are you seeing, Tony, from individuals and their improvement?
Well, we've got some guys that are playing really well. We've got some groups that are playing really well on the floor. But it's no secret for this team to be successful. We've got to get our interior players to play better.
The team has so much size, and it's caused so many teams problems. How do you guys combat that?
It's a good question. It's a good question. They're very similar to LSU in that way. They're big at every position, including their guard positions. And so there's no secret what Kentucky does. They beat you on the offensive glass. And so we're going to have to do a better job than we did in our last game of rebounding on our defensive backboard.
This approach of the process and the emphasizing this message this season it's different from the past for you. What about this kind of change in philosophy for you from last year to this year?
That hadn't changed. It's always been that way.
Well, just you emphasized more last year talking about the standings and looking at things and trying to avoid playing in the first day, trying to move up in those ranks.
I didn't talk about that. You guys talked about that.
You've obviously gotten the same pretty much what you've gotten consistently from Denton and KT all season. So, we've talked about the other role players fitting in. What do you need to see? Because you're seeing some of it, and then you don't see it from game to game. So, consistency-wise, what do you need to see from them?
Well, we need all of our role guys, but we need our interior players to be more consistent on a game-to-game basis. In our 3-game stretch, our interior guys played very well. And they made the difference. I think everybody knows what we're going to get from KT, from Chris Denson, and from Taj. We've got to get our other guys, not just our post players, but our other role guys to step up and play big in big moments.
How good is Kentucky's half-court defense, and how important is it for any team to try to beat them in transition so you don't have to face that?
Well, any team that can switch 1 through 5, and their 5 can guard your 1 and keep them in front, that's a ridiculously good defensive team, and then they're so big at the basket that it's hard to get anything easy. So yeah, you getting out in transition is one thing, but to be able to do that, you got to be able to rebound on your backboard, which is they're 1 or 2 in the country in offensive rebounds and points scored off an offensive rebound. So getting that rebound and getting out in transition, that's a whole different animal.
Speaking of KT specifically, a big picture kind of thing here. His experience of transferring from Virginia, but also having to sit out in high school when he transferred. Have you ever come across something in your years of coaching where you had a player who sat out 2 of the last 5 years?
Well, I'd have to look back. Coached a lot of guys. I'd have to look back and think on that. So, but it's not unusual. I mean, it's a transfer culture nowadays. So it's not unusual for guys to transfer, sit out, and skip on to the next university.
What do you think he gained last year, being a part of the program, but not having to play, and just being able to focus on his game?
I think he grew mentally more than anything. I think one of the things that was always a question around him was how mentally tough he was. And I think, having basketball kind of taken away in terms of being able to play in the games because of the transfer year, it made him mentally tougher. And it's helped him on the court this year in tough situations.
Back to this game specifically, you guys' 3-point defense is pretty low in the league, but you've also played some of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. Do you chalk that up to your opponents in large part, or what do you have to work on in defending the 3-point shot?
Where are we at in the league?
I think you're at the bottom, to be honest. I think you're last.
I'd have to see the standings. I don't think we're that low. But that's not one of Kentucky's strengths. Their strength is in the paint, and so we've got to do a good job of defending that paint.
You said a week ago or so that you saw the breakthrough coming. I'm wondering what you saw that told you it is coming.
The attitude of these guys, the attitude of the players, the camaraderie, the chemistry, the connection that these guys had that last year's team didn't. And so even through the 0-6 start, we don't make excuses. It was probably the hardest 6 games of any team in our league played. That's not an excuse. We still had opportunities that we should have taken advantage of during that stretch. But during that stretch, any other team could have broken down mentally, could have separated in terms of the chemistry, but this team didn't. They brought it every day in practice because they knew that the breakthrough was coming because we were playing good and we were playing together and we were doing all the right things So as the schedule broke a little bit our way, we got some more opportunities at home. No secret that 4 of our first 6 were on the road. You know, we knew we could play well at home, and now we figured out a way to get 1 on the road at South Carolina. And so this group is different than any group that I've had here in that way.
Did you talk to or texted Cal at all this week?
Oh yeah, he called me first thing this morning. He accused me of sleeping in, feeling comfortable that we had the game in the bag, and I told him we just got finished with our first practice of the day when he called me. That's why I didn't answer his phone call. So I've been around the guy too long. He knows those head games aren't going to work on me.
I know you've emphasized the process, Coach, but is it hard not to think at all about what a win would mean if this program hasn't beaten Kentucky in 14 years?
I haven't thought about it at all, not 1 second.
For you personally, what's you've had a couple of these matchups with Cal. What's it like for you as you know, a guy that tutored under him, played under him? You know, you have a good friendship relationship with him. What's it like for you to kind of go one-on-one with Cal?
I mean, it's not fun going against your friends. You know, somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. Unfortunately for me, I've been on the losing end of a lot of them, and he's had really good teams. And so, obviously, outside of our friendships, he's one of the best coaches in the country. And has fielded one of the best teams in the country since he's been in this business. And so, you know, beating him is an opportunity to go against the best, and that's in sports in general. That's what you live for, the opportunity to compete against the best.
What you